Whenever you play someone like Mark who does things that we look at and we may call him an asshole, or we may say that he does things that you shouldn't do to your friends. As an actor, do you have to justify those actions to yourself? Do you have to, whether you agree with them or not, believe that there is a reason to do them?
Yeah, of course. That's perfectly put. As an actor, regardless of what your character is doing, you have to get behind it 100%. If you're not, it's kind of impossible to portray that. Even if the character is doing something that's hurtful to another character, or something that if you were to watch the movie you would disagree with, you have to fully understand it, and I came to not only understand it but ultimately sympathize with the character. I need to do something substantial in order to get the attention of the clubs.
Why?
Because they're exclusive and fun, and they lead to a better life.
You're from Houston and you don't know H-Town?
I don't. I'm ashamed.
How old are you, bro?
22. I just turned 22.
That's why.
But now I didn't do enough research.
That's all right. Research is H-Town knockin' da boots. D-A.
Da boots?
And I believe there's a Z on the boots.
Oh, I'm very confused.
And that song was the jam.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure knockin' the boots, you're 22, but you know what that is.
I do.
So enjoy that song.
I will.
I
want to
feel
put that
like
song over this interview.
I feel like after you play that song, you're gonna have trouble not using it on the ladies, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But I digress.
So you have a fantastic line in this movie where, as Sean Parker, you say, "I guess the music industry didn't have a sense of humor about Napster."
Right.
How much of a sense of humor did you have whenever he created something that helped people steal your music?
At the time that Napster became Napster, sort of uber popular, and it was sweeping virally through the music industry, I was about 19. I mean, this was about 10 years ago when I started to hear about it, and I remember saying to JC, who was in this group I was in.
Mm-hmm. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We had just put a record out, and I said, I don't think it'll ever be like this again. We had just put a record out that had sold almost 2.5 million records in a week, which is still a record. And I remember saying to him, we were talking about Napster, and I remember saying, I don't think it'll ever be like this again because I think things are going to change. We were talking about that, so there's irony there. There's definitely irony there, but I think it's pretty apparent that I have a sense of humor about myself anyway. So
yeah, and you kind of have to.
Yeah. Because when you're this funny looking.
People want to go on the internet and check out their friends, so why not build a website that offers that friends, pictures, profiles? I'm talking about taking the entire social experience of college and putting it online.
A lot of people are saying, and I can't say I disagree with them, that this movie is kind of define our generation because it focuses on Facebook, which in a way I think is going to end up defining our generation.
Right.
Is that something you're okay with 100 years from now? People looking back at us and saying, "Well, those are the Facebook kids."
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but I definitely think that the revolution in our generation is the technological revolution, and of course Mark Zuckerberg's creation is one of the things at the forefront of that. And I'm in awe of it myself. He's an alchemist, he's a magician, and he is defining how we behave. He is a part of our his creation is a part of our consciousness in a very palpable and poignant way, for better or worse. Yeah, of course I'm fine with it. I'd like a revolution of the soul as well.
Right.
And I don't know if this immediate access to everyone is the route to that. But it doesn't mean I don't appreciate it, and all the rest goes over my head, but I can look at it and see it for what it is and think that it's a genius creation.
The site got 2,200 hits within 2 hours?
22,000.
This idea is potentially worth millions of dollars.
Millions!
This wasn't what I was going to start out with, but we just discovered a secret passageway in the Harvard Club.
And wait, there's actually a laser dot on you right now. Oh my God.
I'm not kidding, dude. I feel like we have stumbled upon something that we shouldn't have stumbled across.
Yeah.
Is this the weirdest thing that now that we have together, you and I have discovered?
And you know what's funny? Because this is the Harvard Club, it could have been probably 120 years since that was opened last.
It is quite possible.
Yeah.
What do you think lies in the secret? I wish the camera could see it. There's literally a bookcase where the books are that thin, and you open it up, and it goes into a hallway, which we can't get into because there's a locked door.
It's a bunch of bodies of guys who went to Princeton.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And Tom from MySpace.
Yeah. Poor Tom.
Poor Tom.
Yeah.
And whoever developed Twitter.
Yeah.
Mr. Twitter.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, in this movie, it blows me away because I
Good,
found out
good.
right before the movie started that you played both twins. And I kind of wish I hadn't known that going in, because when I would see you, I would sit
You were
there in the
looking
shots
for
and I was
it.
like looking.
Yeah.
Do you want people to
No.
find out? You want them
No.
to find out afterwards?
The best compliment I've gotten this entire time is when a reporter came up to me and goes, "I just want you to know, I think you are a fantastic actor. Your brother, he overacts, but you are a good actor." I was just like, ma'am, even though the word overacting was in there, that is the best compliment I have ever gotten.
I've heard the twins are walking around here somewhere. Is that true?
I think so. I've heard the same thing, but I haven't seen them today.
They're in the secret.
They're in the passageway.
That's where they're at, man.
That's where they're at. Yeah. I'm glad we figured it out.
You stole our website.
They're saying we stole the Facebook.
I know what it says.
So did we?
$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion.
You're going to get left behind. It's moving faster than any of us ever imagined
Get
it
left
would.
behind.
Let's sue him in federal court.
I'm gonna say, just to kind of do some research before talking to you guys. I read the book, read
The
Accidental
Accidental
Billionaires,
Billionaires, yes.
which is a great book. But I had some problems reading it as a reader. There's some phrases that kind of bugged me, and those were, it was probably, perhaps, maybe, he might have. There's a lot of hypotheticals in terms of the moments that he didn't have any proof and kind of had to fill in the gaps.
Yes.
Is it hard as a writer to write a script on some hypotheticals?
There's a difference between the way I adapted this book and the way I adapted my last movie, which is Charlie Wilson's War. Charlie Wilson's War, the book was written by George Cryle, a 60 Minutes producer, and it was really a series of very, very dense interviews. There were no perhapses or probablys or anything like that. It was all first-person interviews. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And the challenge there was finding the story and making it entertaining. That book hadn't been written when I started writing the screenplay. But what there was a 14-page book proposal. It was a terrifically exciting book proposal that Ben had written to his publisher because he wanted to write that book. The publisher liked it so much that they wanted to shop it around Hollywood for a film sale right away. That's how it came to me. On page 3 of the book proposal, I said yes. It was the fastest I've ever said yes to anything. But while Ben's book was certainly, it's more than the jumping off point, it was the center of it. Because of all the perhapses, the probablys, and whatnots, I did 2 things. One, extensively researched it myself, including a lot of first-person research, talking to the actual people, reading a lot of legal documents which don't have perhapses and probablys in them, and then just doing available research, going online and seeing what you can find. But the other thing that I did was I decided that I liked the fact that set the perhapses and the probablys aside for a second. There were 2 separate lawsuits, just so people know. 2 separate lawsuits were brought against Facebook at roughly the same time. The defendant, the plaintiffs, and the witnesses all went into the deposition rooms, all swore an oath, and what we came out with were 3 very different versions of the same story. That's why there are all those perhapses and probablys in there, because it's unclear what the truth is. And because it's unclear what the truth is, I didn't decide one of those was the truth and dramatize that, or that this one is the most sexy or juicy and dramatize that. I like the fact that we don't know, that there's all this contradictory testimony. It's exactly right. I was going for Rashomon. So any time that there's a probably or a perhaps, and it's presented as fact in the movie, it is always followed up with, that's not what happened. This is what happened. From the beginning right through the end, when a character who is an invention of mine but who the character doesn't change the trajectory of the story at all. She's a stand-in for the audience. A character played by Rashida Jones, a young lawyer in one of the depositions, says, anytime there's emotional testimony, I assume that 85% is exaggeration. And Mark asks the other 15%, and she says perjury. Creation myths need a devil. In other words, the movie doesn't take a position on what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, who's telling the truth, who's not, and the movie doesn't take a position on if Mark stole Facebook or didn't. And anytime there's an implication that he did, the movie gives Mark the benefit of the doubt. But beyond that, the movie is a study of a group of very complicated people playing out a classical story, a Greek story, against a very modern backdrop.
I can't wait to stand over your shoulder and watch you write as a check.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Is there anything that you need to tell me?
Your actions could have permanently destroyed everything I've been working on.
We have been working on.
Do you like being a joke? Do you want to go back to that? Mark!
I hear that you're the person to ask, and I'm not entirely sure why, but how has Facebook affected the life of Peter Parker? Would you think Spider-Man would have a Facebook that he would, see statuses from Mary Jane and be like, oh, it's time to don the suit?
I feel like Peter Parker doesn't roll with the in crowd, and maybe he's slightly a bit of an outsider. So maybe he doesn't follow. He's not a sheep. He's an individual. So maybe he's one of those guys that's like, no, I don't want a Facebook. I don't know.
This is our time.
You're being accused of intentionally breaching security, violating copyrights, violating individual privacy.
I love this idea that Facebook essentially kind of was spawned out of a guy being mad about a girl.
Right.
What's the best thing that you've ever created that was spawned out of girl problems?
Music?
Any particular song that comes to mind?
No. Not any of music.
No music spawns out of girl
I've never
problems.
written songs out of girl problems. That's not who I am.
No one does that.
That's not who I am. I don't write songs that insinuate that I would want someone to actually cry enough that they cried a full river. Why would I do that?
Do you think maybe Knockin' Da Boots came out of girl problems?
I don't know.
Maybe girl,
I don't know. I feel like Knockin' Da Boots is probably. I feel like it's more about ambition.
Gotcha.
Than.
This is a very serious question. I don't know why everyone's laughing.
Yeah,
this is Knockin' Da Boots.
I don't find it funny at all.
Neither do I.
It's Knockin' Da Boots. It's serious.
Yes. Especially with the Z.
You gotta be careful to keep the boots on too.
Absolutely.
Or else
otherwise, you won't be able to knock them.
Well, also, then all of a sudden you have these little knockers running around if you don't keep the boots on.
Keep it. See the metaphor we got going on?
You'll never be able to show that on television.
Your best friend is suing you for $600 million.
As for the charges,
looking at people's reaction to Facebook, which, the main complaint seems to be that there's that lack of one-on-one personal communication. Theoretically, couldn't have people said that about the phone 100 years ago? I mean, how do you think people are going to look at Facebook in 100 years?
Yeah, to criticize a technology is to miss the point. You can criticize the use of a technology. Like you indicated, you can criticize the telephone, or you can say, I'm not going to always be on the telephone. I don't think Facebook eliminates personal connection. I remember every day after high school, I would come home and watch Family Feud by myself and eat a Lunchable. And, my sister is 10 years younger than me, comes home and talks to her friends on Facebook. So arguably, she has a greater, she has a kind of a greater, personal interaction than I do. I believe I deserve some recognition from this board.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Which part?